Probably my biggest beef with this era in history that we live in is we are right on the cusp of a bunch of amazing things. But what are we spending our time doing? Why, why do we have Starbucks workers pulling 45, 50-hour weeks? Why do we have people working in coal mines? Why is anybody digging ditches? We're doing a hell of a lot of busy work, and we're arguing about Mr. Potato Head and all this Republican nonsense. For what? What is the benefit of it? The benefit is just so that billionaires can have more billions, tens of billions instead of just one little baby billion. That's ultimately what it comes down to. But what are we missing out on? Imagine this for a moment. Imagine you call up your old pal Jake, and over on my desk, like in a sci-fi movie, a bunch of little plastic spheres in a cylinder collectively move. They're different colored, all kinds of colors. They collectively swirl around in this cylinder, and then they form, just like pixels, dots of light on a screen, they form your face. And over on your desk, a bunch of little pixels float up in a cylinder, and they form my face, and they are reproducing the image that a camera on my device is picking up, and we're talking to each other in 3D. Does that seem like sci-fi stuff? It sure does, because it is. Nobody's made that yet. Because whoever would have invented that piece of technology is running from their lives from a nightclub that just got shot up because we argue about whether or not we should have any restrictions at all on firearms instead of seeing that it's a problem. The person who would have invented that is trying not to get beaten to death by a bunch of bigots running around. We're creating problems. The problem is we're not thinking about what we're not doing with all this energy. Let me show you what we could be doing.
So if you take an ultrasonic transducer like this and you put a surface above it for it to reflect the sound wave off, you can actually create a standing wave pattern in there. And if you take some small pieces of things like pieces of paper or small pieces of styrofoam, you can stick them in there and they actually levitate in the standing wave.
Right now, there is a object which is levitating. Look at it.
Also, instead of a reflector, we could just put a second transducer up top of it.
Well, could you get multiple little pieces of foam to levitate, I wonder?
Playing the same wave. And if we do that, we get a little bit stronger levitation. Okay, let's see how many we can fit in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look how cool that is.
Now imagine if instead of constantly worrying about his job because he needs it to live, some engineer saw that and decided, I'm going to make something that can reliably arrange these colors. Imagine if instead of worrying about her job, because that's where her health insurance comes from and that's where her kids' health insurance comes from, some programmer teamed up with that engineer and made a software program that would direct the sound waves as necessary to not only cancel themselves out so that it is silent to our ears, but to arrange little flecks like that in predetermined patterns. This is the kind of stuff that we miss out on when we're creating our own problems. When people are worried that, oh no, here comes AI. It's going to take up all the jobs. Oh no, here comes a robot. It's going to make all the jobs. We're missing the point. We should rejoice when some of our busy work gets done. It should be a new era of enlightenment that we're jumping into. We should be a civilization full of inventors and tinkerers and, content producers and comedians and singers and composers and whatever the hell we want. Because at the end of the day, we have energy flowing freely to our homes for free. We have food guaranteed to us. We have some reasonable amount of disposable income, which is just there if we need it. We have a house over our heads. We are warm. We are safe. These are things that if we just decided that we insisted upon having, we could. We would simply have to make the decision that billionaires cannot have multiple billions anymore. They can only have $1 billion. That is the only decision we need to make. And we have to get others to make that decision with us, knowing that billionaires, heartless bastards that they are, will fight against a future where people are turning that into something usable and cool. And they will spend billions to do so.